Welcome to another Sega News Bits. We're back with just a few more for the end of the year. Today we're going to be talking about our favorite Sega games of 2015, and we might even mention some Atlus games as well. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going through a list of our favorite games, and then at the end we're going to be telling you guys the ones we pick as our number one choice, which get the solid gold Opa-Opa trophy, which does not actually exist. So to kick things off, George is going to be talking about our first pick.
I picked Yakuza 5, which is kind of weird because the game is technically from 2012, but it's still probably the best Yakuza game, I guess, in terms of content. You could actually drive taxis and like drive cars and race. Not really drive cars around the neighborhood, but in a predetermined course. It's a good game. The only thing is that you could tell this game is aged. Like there's always all my issues with the Yakuza series is like even more like obvious in this one. Just like the fighting system feels a little not there, like a little, it needs more polish. The animation's a little weird. Some of the graphics look really blurry when you're outside, but besides that, the game is fantastic. It has everything I love about the Yakuza game. Like it's ridiculous, it's over the top story, it's over the top action, it's here in spades. So definitely Yakuza 5 is probably their best game this year, and I'm glad they brought it over in English.
And it just made it too.
It just made it 2015. So
yeah, God, I'm glad it wasn't a 2016 game. Can you imagine we couldn't talk about Yakuza 5 as our favorite game until the end of 2016?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You have the next game?
Yeah, I am picking Hatsune Miku Project Mirai DX for the Nintendo 3DS. Now, I'm not one of those Miku freaks. I'm not one of those guys who's, buying the lanyards, buying the statues. And this game did not convert me, but, I had to review it, and it wasn't a chore. I actually did really enjoy the game. I'm a big fan of Sega rhythm games like Rhythm Thief and Samba de Amigo and the Space Channel 5 games. And this one, it's its own thing. I think it worked really well on the mobile platform. I know that it's more popular on the PS3, but I just can't really imagine sitting at home and playing this game. It's a really good game for the handheld device. And on top of that, they added so many really cool modes. Like, even if you're not into dress up, which I'm not, there were a lot of really cool decorations for the little virtual house, and you could play Puyo Puyo, which is like the first time that Puyo really came to the West, which is kind of sad. Outside of the GameCube one. And yeah, it's an all-around really solid mobile game, and it's a good introduction to the series. I think if you've never played a Hatsune Miku game, it definitely makes me want to check out maybe the upcoming title for what is that, PlayStation 3 or 4? But Hatsune
the
X. Yeah. And so that definitely gets my thumbs up for I'd say it's the best 3DS Sega game I played this year, for sure. Well, on a card. we'll get to the other 3DS Sega games, but the full retail title, I should say. And it was a nice package too. It came with some freebies. It came with cards, which is always nice to see in the West. We rarely get our special boxes. So yeah, what's yours?
My second title, I guess, mine technically. Tembo the Badass Elephant, which is which developed by Game Freak, which did Pokemon. I don't know if you guys heard of that game. It's a little game out there. It's actually a really good game. I thought they were gonna shit the bed. I think Sega shit the bed on promoting the game, and it went under everybody's radar when it came out. But it's actually a really fun little platforming game. If you guys used to be into the old platforming games, this game has a nice variety of levels. There's always this little gimmick they try to do in every level to make it fresh. It's a nice length campaign for a $15 digital download. The graphics look nice. The powers in the that you use in the game all make sense. You collect peanuts and you make peanut butter. That's all you got to know. So one peanut butter jar is one life up. So pretty good game. I recommend it.
And it's on a lot of platforms too.
It's on like everything in the world.
Well, except for the Wii U, but
Except
I'm
for
not.
anything Nintendo on it.
Yeah, right. Which I think irked a lot of Game Freak fans, but you know what? Deal with it. Uh,
If you're a
Um,
Game Freak, well, if you just like a good platforming game and you have $15 to spare, check it out, definitely.
nice. And then this next one we're kind of sharing. It's the Sega 3D Classics series as a whole. And we're going to be naming just 3 of the games that we really think stood out. Would you like to grab the first one that you really thought was a standout title?
This one is actually my favorite title that they released this year for the 3D Classics. It's the Outrun. They added a lot of new stuff to the game. They had 60 frames per second. They added this new mode where you could like add a new engine, so you could double your speed, making turning easier. And it changes the color of the car. They also have this thing where you could make the difficulty really low, and there's like no cars in the road, so there's even that whole like I just want to enjoy the music and the scenery kind of a mode, I guess.
Outrun and chill mode.
Yeah, outrun and chill mode. The music's obviously beautiful, like always. That's one of my favorite soundtracks of all time, probably from Sega. So I definitely enjoyed this release. The only downside was that the Ferrari wasn't in it because of the license. So it has a slightly changed car, and I know a lot of people think that's a no buy, but that to me it's a negative. But I could oversee it because I don't play games because of the license. So,
Nice.
well, what's your 3D classic?
3D Classic I wanted to call out was Thunderblade. And I know this is a game that gets a lot of flack from Sega fans. They feel that the Genesis release was subpar, the Master System release was subpar. But if you actually get to play the arcade version, which I did a few times at the Galloping Ghost Arcade outside of Chicago, Illinois.
Plug.
Yeah, plug. You can play the physical cabinet, and the one they have, it's a little creaky. Your hand smells like metal after you play it, but like I would have it no other way. It's just a really innovative arcade game. You know, you've got the stick, and you lift off, and it's like, I know it's a 2-dimensional title, but it feels so 3-dimensional, and I definitely feel like it's probably like the pinnacle of the superscalar games that Sega made. That's the right term, right? Superscalar, yeah. And you know, it's the 3D Classics version. I feel is the most playable version. The arcade one, it might just be the age of the cabinet, but it's hard to get a handle of the thing, even as cool as the technology is. But on 3D Classics, it's just really cool to have, obviously, the 3D effect, but also to have the ability to play through the game and really experience the head-on and the drop-down and all the transitions they have. And I just feel like it really does the game justice. And you mentioned the soundtrack for Outrun. One of the things I love about Sega 3D Classics is that since it's mobile, you have your headphones and you can actually hear the soundtrack for, I'd say, the first time. Because if you've ever played these things at arcades, you can hardly hear the thing if it's a big arcade, and sometimes they turn the volume down. So it's great to have the soundtrack pumping right into your ears. So yeah, Thunderblade definitely gets the thumbs up from me. And there is one more title we want to talk about, and I want to give you the honor to mention that.
We both actually wanted to have this on the list. So Fantasy Zone 2, Tears of Opa-Opa. That's a really, really good 3D classic game. It's Sega actually went like beyond the call and like literally added its own mode where it's like it actually feels like if this was back in the late 80s and they released this new mode as its own arcade cabinet, it would probably be making money and be its own game. What's it called again? Link mode or something like that?
Loop Linkland?
Loop Linkland, there you go.
Yeah.
It was the whole game is just so much, I think, better than the first Fantasy Zone. I think they polished up a lot of the stuff. Loop Linkland adds a lot of hours to it. I was trying to get good at it, and I'm always terrible at these type of things, you know, like chaining up scores. But I get addicted to it though, and I enjoy playing it. And this game definitely is definitely your money's worth. If you had to buy one of these and you wanted just the best bang for your buck, Fantasy Zone 2 is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, if you've ever wondered why the Sega Bits mascot is Opa-Opa, pick up this game because it's an awesome title. I mean, we didn't pick Opa-Opa because this game came out, but it really gives you the full Fantasy Zone experience, and then with all the extra modes and the weapons, and it's an all-around awesome package. And that would be, out of all the 3D classics, I'd echo your sentiments and say this is the one to pick up. Now, what is your favorite game of the year? What are you giving the golden statue to?
My golden statue so far, even though I haven't beat the whole game yet, and I'm going to do a review soon though, but for what I've played, it's kind of hard to give it a statue because I haven't beat it, but out of all the games that I played, I think the most complete package so far definitely is Yakuza 5. You could play Virtual Fighter 2 in it. I mean, that's already good enough for me.
For sure. Nice. And I would give my golden statue to... I'd like to pick all the Sega 3D classics that came out this year, but the standouts, like you mentioned, Outrun, Thunderblade, and Fantasy Zone 2, they're all deserving, but I'm going to give mine to Fantasy Zone 2. And you might think, oh my god, he picked a small, budget digital title as his favorite Sega game of the year, but it's Fantasy Zone 2. It's a classic, but it's reinvented. So, you're playing a classic, but you're getting the newness. So it's a nice mix. Makes me happy, and I actually want to go play it right now. So that's a sure sign of a golden Opa-Opa statue, and it's fitting too. So there we go.
And that's the end of that.
Well, here we can add a bit saying, or here I'll just say. So in the comments below, tell us what your favorite Sega game of 2015 was, and don't be afraid to mention some Atlus titles too. If you'd like more Sega news, check us out at segabits.com. And also don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and follow us on all our social networks.